Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Mechanic today. You are not going to want to miss this video because we are doing something totally different and a little crazy today. Now, one of the most common chainsaws I see come into the shop, because everybody at some point has bought one of these bad boys in their life just to, get one project done over the weekend, is a Poulan chainsaw. I probably fix at least one every 2 weeks to one every week, because what everybody does is they buy one of these, they get done with their project, they've used it one time, and then they let it sit for years until they need to cut another limb. So this one has been sitting for 5 years. Customer brought it in this week, and of course, they needed it yesterday. But I thought I'd go ahead and bring it home and show y'all exactly how fast I can repair a Poulan chainsaw. Now, I've always wanted to do this at work because I do so many of them. I just want to see how fast I can get it done. But at the same time, I'm helping customers on the counter. So it's never a good time for me to time myself because I have to stop so often to help customers. So today we're going to put a timer up. We're going to be non-stop shooting. There is going to be no edits in this video once I start repairing this. And we're going to see just how fast I can get it fixed. Before we jump into all of that though, I do have a huge thank you right now. I received some stuff in the mail from my friend at Mix Mowers. Now, if you have not seen his channel yet, probably you have if you're over here at my channel, but Mix Mowers is one to definitely subscribe to. He sent me some stickers, bottle opener, keychains, pins. He is just an awesome mechanic when it comes to restoring a lot of the stuff in the UK. I guess it's fiberglass shells like for the decks, and he goes all out restoration with fixing the fiberglass, painting, completely restoring the engine, getting it great again. So definitely go check out his channel. I will leave a link below in the description box. Also, I finally got some of my own stickers made, so anybody that I will be sending stuff to, they'll get some of these cool stickers. I don't know if you can see that or not. Work like a girl. I don't know, for years it's always been work like a man or do this like a man. Well, work like a girl. I'm taking it back here. So, all right, for this project, you're gonna need some stuff. This has been sitting a long time. I did check when they brought it in, I looked inside the fuel tank. It's the first thing I do on these, and of course the fuel line was missing inside the tank, and as I had it on its side, it started leaking all over the counter. So I know that this needs fuel lines 90% of the time. Once the fuel lines rot, the diaphragms in the carburetor go right along with it. So we're going to change the fuel filter, put a carburetor kit in it, fuel lines. The air filter looked okay. It can probably just be blown out, and see if we can get it running again after 5 years. For this project, you're going to need to get some new fuel line. Now, it takes two sizes in these Poulans. Most all of the Poulans take two sizes. The newer ones, they have another size. It's larger, has a grommet in it. That's different, but 90% of all the Poulans I see take these two sizes of line. You've got the 3/16 outside diameter and the 0.140 outside diameter. There is metric sizes on there also if you'd like to see that. And you'll need probably, I'd get at least a foot of both. You're going to want to get your T25 out to take the screws out of the top cover and to take the screw out of the air filter base if it has one. You're going to need some needle nose pliers for pulling things through, and also I like to stretch the end of my line out to get my fuel filter on with these real small ones. They're awesome. You're going to need a spark plug tool to remove your plug. You're going to want a Phillips to get into your carburetor. I have my handy dandy 12-inch hemos that I'm going to be using to get the fuel line back into my tank. You're going to want I'm using a razor blade. I know it's not recommended, but I do it all day long, so I'm pretty good with it, to get your old gaskets that might be stuck inside of your carburetor. Razor blade, some scissors to cut your fuel line. I'm going to leave a link below for all of this stuff, but you're going to want some adjusting tools. The Poulans, they take this splined adjusting tool, and then a flathead for the throttle adjust if you need that. I have a new fuel filter and a new spark plug that I'm going to be putting in, And the carburetor kit for this is an RB129. One more thing, I almost totally forgot. The primer bulb is broke, so I have the Wabro brand 2-pronged push-in primer bulb, and we're also gonna be replacing that too. So, while we do this, I'm gonna have my front camera constantly showing this angle here. I'm going to have a camera right above that gives you an overhead view. I'm also going to be using another camera that when I get into the tight spaces, if I feel like you're not able to see it from these two views, I'm going to get in there with that one, and it's going to be non-stop. There's going to be no edits at all, so hopefully I don't say anything wrong, and we'll just see how it all turns out. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, I am a little nervous to do this because usually my videos, I film for like an hour or two and then it's an hour of editing. So this time it's going to be one straight shot. I'm not gonna have to edit anything. Hopefully I don't say anything stupid. So let's see. So we're gonna start out, we're gonna remove the top cover with the T25. Usually I've got my, fast forward music playing through this, trying to save y'all some time, but we are just gonna go with it this time. Get in your hole. Oh, there we go. Gonna push the chain brake up a little bit, remove the top cover. We do have to empty the gas out because it's still in there, and I do have some paper towels underneath because it is a leaker. So we're going to turn it on its side. I'm going to remove the gas cap. And we got all the gas out. All right, let's clean up the mess it made. Just a little bit. Now we're going to remove the side cover because we do have to change the primer bulb out. We're still going to use our T25. So today I am working in my garage. Usually y'all see me in my carport shed out in the back where we store things. The reason I don't normally work in the garage is because we have a 76 Camaro tore apart next to me, and I've got a pool table and a complete workout set for my husband and I. So we don't have much room in the garage right now, so gotta get this 76 Camaro done before we can scoot up in here. I don't usually do anything at the shop because I have customers all day while I'm at work, and then to be honest, I want to be home next to the pool to where I could fix this stuff and then jump in after I'm done doing these videos. So next thing we're going to do, I've got my 8mm socket. I'm going to take the two nuts out that are holding on the air filter base. I don't think y'all can see that too good. Yeah, just a little bit. Once we get this off, you should be able to see that overhead shot a little better. There's also a T25 screw in the air filter base. We're going to remove that. Now I did already look down into the cylinder while I was at work, and it's beautiful. Like the customer said, they didn't fib on this one. They used it once or twice and then let it sit for years. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that plug out. Now we can remove the air filter base, but to do that, this one actually has a throttle cable on it. I don't know if you can see the throttle cable right here. We're gonna go ahead and pull this back and pull out the Z-bin that is in the lever. And this stuff we're just going to sort of set over to the side. Now, hopefully y'all can see that pretty good. We're going to remove some of these fuel lines. They're all rotten, but so yeah, they're just coming off in pieces there. And get the one going to the primer bulb. It just broke off. So we should be able to just remove the carburetor now. We're just going to take our choke lever off for the time being. Take the rest of the fuel lines out. Yeah, they're just breaking off like, I think you can see that, just breaking off like crazy in my hand. So there is still a little chunk in the hole going back to the actually both holes have fuel lines still stuck in them, so we're just going to push that through on both of those, and we'll dump that out in a little bit. Alright, the cylinder looks good from this side, so we're going to go ahead and replace the primer bulb. And just pop it out. I'm going to go ahead and put my new primer bulb in. It does have a way, there's a little notch to know where it sits in place. You want to sort of go straight down on it, or it's sort of finicky. Okay, so we've got that done. We can actually, if we wanted to, go ahead and put our side cover back on, but you might want to leave it off because it is easier to get your fuel lines in if it is off. So now we're going to put the carburetor kit together. We're going to set this over to the side. Now, the majority of these that I take apart, the carburetor still looks like it's in really good shape. I should have brought home a smaller screwdriver. Yeah, that's not going to work. Oh, good. So first we have to get, these has got that double barrel. I'm just going to take that off first. We're going to release the two screws from the metering diaphragm side. I think I need to bring this camera down a little bit so y'all can see it and not me. Okay. And get under there, and it's pretty hard. I'm going to take the screw out holding our needle. It's sort of stuck. Got it. And everything's out on that side. Now the carburetor actually still looks pretty good. I mean, you can see it. It's like beautiful inside, and I see this a lot with ones that were only ran once or twice. They still look beautiful inside. It really is just the gas has hardened everything, and some white crusty stuff on that side. Usually a lot of times if it's one that has ran for a while and the fuel line, and they had been using it, and the fuel filter falls off because the fuel lines deteriorate, it'll suck these diaphragms in really bad to where it won't get the gas flow like it needs. So this one had not sucked in that bad, just a little bit, but let's see what's in there. Now there is some, you can see some white crusty stuff up in the screen area. We're going to go ahead and remove this crusty in the screen. Now, everything else is really beautiful. Usually at this point, if it was nasty, I would take my carburetor cleaner and I would spray everything out real good. I have got to a point where I don't even take the high and the low out because adjustments, because it seems like pretty much most of the time, if they're in this good a shape, you don't need to. Now, when I go to put it all back together and I have to adjust it, a lot of times I'll go all the way in and come all the way back out to where it was, just to make sure that there's no gookie stuck in there. But I mean, usually there is no problem and it adjusts out just fine. I'm gonna get the rest of this fuel line off here, and we can go ahead and, oh, more fuel line stuck. So we did not need the razor blade. A lot of times you'll have to, the gaskets will be super stuck to this ribbed area in here and you'll have to scrape your gasket off, but this one actually looks really good. So we're gonna go ahead and open our carburetor kits. Move all the old pieces over. Dump out all our new stuff. We're going to put our screen in first. Just a little chunk of something. And it's sometimes easiest to take something that's flat like this so you can easily put it in through the center, and sometimes you'll get it in there sideways, and you don't want it in there sideways because it will leak through some of the debris that gets through. We're going to put the gasket goes on the rib section first. So we put the gasket on and then we put the diaphragm. And we're going to move this little lever over right here as we put that side back on. We're going to put our screw back in. Tighten that a little bit with that. And that side's done. Next, we're going to put our needle back, our new needle in. We're going to get this. We're going to put your spring back in its slot. Whoop. So I'm shaking because I'm going super fast, but really, I just need to slow down, I guess. Spring in, and then we'll grab our needle lever, and you come right down on the spring, and the more you do this, the easier it gets, and then you swoop into the needle and you push it all down, and you keep it pushed down as you put your screw back in. So those are the screws for the back, those are the other screws, so that's the screw for the needle. Your needle in place. Now, when you get a OEM carburetor kit, this little prong 95% of the time is already at the perfect position. You do not have to adjust it. So I recommend, if you're a homeowner doing this and it's your first time putting in a carburetor kit, just go with where it's at right now. It's usually spot on. So we're going to, on this side, the gasket goes against the block, and then the metering diaphragm, the metal part, goes in towards the carburetor. And you're going to make sure to line your holes up, because when you put this back on here, this little prong goes in that hole. So we're going to do that, and there's just 2 screws that holds this one on. Some of them have 4 screws. That's funny, you're gonna hear me a lot in this video. Whoop, whoop. my regular videos, I can edit out the whoop, that's where I messed up, whoop, that's where I dropped something. All right, so we're gonna tighten this down. Okay, so we need to put this part back on. You can see the two screws with the gasket right here. We know that this is the side that the throttle cable went into, so it goes to the right side. This needs to be facing towards you, and the part where your choke lever goes is right here. So we're gonna set it like this. We're gonna put this back on here and put our screws back in. And yes, I should be using my little Phillips, but I totally forgot to bring it home. I did not dig one out of my shop, so. I do have a shop out back, but it is full of stuff and no room to film in. All right, so we have the carburetor kit in. Now we can get rid of all these old pieces. And we're gonna put fuel lines back in the chainsaw. Okay, let's get it back up here. Now you have two holes. There's one for the return and one that goes to your fuel filter. The fuel filter, and everybody thinks that the fuel filter line is the fatter line. I don't know why. I guess maybe because it looks like it should be that way, but it's not. I think you need a bigger line going back to the tank for you to have less resistance. So I've got some fuel line here. Is that going to be long enough? I already had one piece cut, about a foot. So if it's going to go there, going to go down. Yeah. So I've got about, I'd say a foot. Well, I can measure it. Yeah, it is a foot. It's already cut sideways a little bit. That might be enough. Now, a lot of people, they like to use that method where they put a wire down in it. If it's a lot harder to explain how to do that than it is to, if you have your fuel line and you cut it sideways a little bit down, and it'll go into your hole easier. And if you have some long needle nose or hemos, you can just reach into your tank, pull it out, and cut that little section off and attach your fuel filter. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stick it down in this little hole. I'm going to flip this on its side. I could actually see that sticking through. And I'm just going to pull it right out. Okay. While I have it like that, I'm just going to cut it off. I'm going to grab my skinny needle nose and we're going to put the fuel filter back on. And what I do, I find easiest, is I go into the end of the fuel line and I just give it a little stretch. And then I turn and I stretch, turn, stretch, and that makes it so much easier to go on these nipples and put your fuel filter back on. It'll just slide right on and then suction cup right back to it. So that's one fuel line down. And you want to make sure to get enough fuel line that it lays in the bottom of the tank. You want your fuel filter to be able to lay, like if you're running it or you're cutting on its side, that it's laying in the bottom right corner of your gas tank. So next we're going to put our return line in. I've got about a foot of my return line. I'm going to cut it down the center sideways. Now this one, if you don't have good, long, skinny pliers to get into your gas cap hole to grab this, you're going to want to cut it longer, which I don't have my good ones here with me. I do have my hemos, which are pretty good, but they're sort of wore out. That's why I actually put some on my Amazon wish list. It's because I have used the stink out of these. I love them though, and if you're looking for any, I do have them on there if you want to get yourself a pair, because they're just so handy. All right, so I actually did it this time because my hemos are sort of wore out. I did it like probably 2 inches long. Yeah. So now I'm going to stick it in the larger hole towards the engine in the back, and I'm going to keep going down with it, down, down, down. Got it in there, flip it on over. Now I can see it in there, and I can grab it with my hemos, but they're sort of wore out. I'm hoping that, yeah, I think they're gonna get it. Let's see, yeah, it's pulling a little bit. Okay, so this one, you just have to stub in there because that's the return to the tank. So it doesn't have to go to the bottom of the tank. You just have to make sure to get past your little section that you cut. So we're gonna put this one, and actually it's still a little long. We don't need it that one. I'm just gonna cut off just a little bit. And we're gonna stick this, there's 2 nipples on the primer bulb. One sucks, one blows. The long one blows and the short one sucks. So we suck the fuel through the carburetor and we blow it back into the tank. So the long nipple on the carburetor is gonna be the one that we put the return line to. So if you're looking at it, actually, the short one sucks is on the bottom, so I'm actually going to put a little line, because we're going to have the line that goes to the carburetor. It'll be easier for you to do the bottom one first, that way you don't have to fight around the one on the top. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit more line here, and I'm going to connect it to the short one on the bottom of the primer bulb, like I did before. I'm going to stick my needle nose in, twist, stretch, twist, stretch, twist. And you actually can do it with like this. You can just do it with, if you're changing your primer bulb out for sure, you can just do it before you put your primer bulb in. Okay, so we've got that one. We're going to get it out of the way. Now we're going to be able to attach our other one. I'm just going to stretch, twist, stretch, twist. Once it's stretched out, I'm going to attach it to the long one, because the long one blows the fuel back into the tank. And we still did that a little long because we don't want it getting pinched behind the carburetor, so you might want to make that one shorter. I'm just going to pay attention whenever I'm putting it back together. Okay, so we know that our fuel filter line going into our tank is long enough, and we can go ahead and put our carburetor back on. Now, there's a nipple. This is the side with the adjustments that goes to the left if you're standing behind the saw, and this little nipple here on the carburetor is where this line will go, and that sucks the fuel from the fuel filter line through the carburetor and back into the tank after it goes through the primer bulb. So the mounting gasket is still on there and still looks like it's in good shape. I'm going to put the carburetor back on. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to stretch this one out. Stretch, twist, stretch. And I'm going to put it back on this nipple. I don't even know if I can get in there like this. That air filter base gets in the way. All right, we got that one on. We need to put this one over to the right side if we're standing behind the carburetor or the back of the chainsaw. We're going to stretch. I'm telling you, do this stretch because it is so much easier. All right, we have got all our fuel lines attached. So we're going to make sure that we didn't pinch that one line Nope, we're good. Everything's back on. We do want to, at this point, attach our choke lever again. So we're gonna go move this on over here. I'm gonna put the choke lever back in. And have it facing out the back. And then we can start to put the base, air filter base, back on. And we're going to reattach the throttle cable. I don't know, we should be able to see that. So you gotta get the Z-bend, and it goes into this top hole up here. I can't hold it like that and let y'all see, so just know that it's going in the top hole. Oop. Here it is. Oop, oop. We got it sideways. Alright, we got it in there. And now you can hopefully see. I don't know if y'all can see anything really. Got it back in its C-bend. Next, we are going to make sure everything's good, nothing's pinched behind the carburetor. We're going to go ahead and put our nuts back on. We're not going to wrench them all the way down until we put our screw back in our air filter base also. And that takes the T25. It's a ridiculously long screw for an air filter base. I don't know why they put it in there, but they did. Alright, now that we got it in, we can tighten down the nuts on our carburetor. We're going to go ahead and put our rewind back on. We're putting our new spark plug in. Is gapped at 30 thousandths. The boot. Our air filter back in. The air filter actually still looked really good, so seen worse. Put our cover on. Screw it down. I think the worst part is finding the hole. A lot of customers bring these in, they have dirt daubers that you have to dig out before you can even unscrew anything, so that's always fun. Okay, put our gas cap back in, and I set my gas around here somewhere. All right, now, first thing I'm going to do before I go adjusting on it is I'm just gonna try to start it. So I'm gonna carry you over here with me, I guess, and see if it runs. Grab my adjusting tool. and my throttle adjust tool, and let's go. All right, so get out here in the yard. You might see, do a little backdrop of my Cougar. I got a 68 Cougar. Yes, we are going to be restoring it on video, hopefully. And that's something we planned for this winter, hopefully. So, okay. Oh, I am totally wearing my slippers out here. Yeah, you know, I'm at home, okay? So I'm gonna prime it. It's gonna take just a little bit since everything was so dry. You're gonna wanna prime the stink out of it. We do have gas coming through now. I'm putting the choke on, putting down my specs. All right, let's see. Throttle cable's stuck, but it started. Okay, I have full confidence that it's going to run, but we do have to fix the throttle cable. Dang it. Back to the garage. So let's see what we did wrong here. Oh, it's so hot out here too. I was hoping I just knocked this one out. What's going on here? Put the specs down. Oh, I see what I did. When I came back around here, my cable got stuck on the wrong side. So, let's just put it on the right side there. This is the most bizarre thing ever. Like the throttle trigger got stuck up into the handle. This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen ever. What? Okay, this has nothing to do with the bin sitting. The throttle trigger just locked up inside of the handle. Okay, let's figure this out. Open sesame. See what's going on with this trigger. Seriously, this will never happen to you while you're working on something. It only happened because I'm trying to do a timed video. There's something that broke out here. What's going on? So we got this. Oh, the cable came out of its little spot right here, I guess, when I tugged it. Okay, that's not that bad. I was thinking it was going to be much worse. Hopefully it will stay in there. I don't know. We're going to put this back in there. Oh, come on. go to your home. I'm gonna put the cheap cable end back in its hole. I have never had that happen. That is so bizarre. I don't even know how you get that back in there whenever. It's not taking the other side apart. I don't want to take the other side apart. Come on. Okay. One last shot. Here we go. Okay. Hold this down. While we bring that back. Make sure that's in place. Now is it going to stay in its hole? Oh, there we go. Okay. That's bizarre. Okay. I have never had a throttle trigger issue happen with one of these. So I'm glad that, you know, it was a simple fix, because I would have felt really bad, but it's going to make this all turn out to be a lot longer than I hoped it was going to be. Alright, so let's put the throttle lever back in place. This goes under here, I'm guessing. And get the side cover back on. That's all lined up. Put our screws back in. Okay, is it gonna work? It's gonna work! Alright, here we go. Do over. Let's put it back together. Oh, well, that stinks, because I'm still gonna add this time to it, because it is part of the fix, but that was bizarre. I've never ever had it stick in here in the wrong spot to where it ripped the throttle cable out of the trigger. But, you know, it's only because I'm making this video, so. All right, we're ready to go again. Let's try it. All right. Got my neighbor driving by on his side-by-side. I live in a beautiful, beautiful area here in Arkansas. Okay, so I'm going to choke it again, even though we already had it started. I'm not going to prime it just to make sure, but it's not idling, so let me grab my adjusting screw. Like I said before, I'm going to go all the way in. That's 1 turn and a half, 2 and probably an 8. I'm going to come back out to 1, 2 and an 8 on the low. Let's go ahead. That's 1. And 1 and a half. I'm going to go ahead and come out on the low. Hold on, where are we at? To 1 3/4. Let's try that. Okay. I know, I got my hair down. I really work on chainsaws all day long, and I know. I've never had my hair, and it can happen, I know, but I'm pretty good. Now backpack blowers, there ain't no way. I'm always afraid that I'm going to get my hair stuck in a backpack blower. Let's give it a little throttle here. See what that does. I'm gonna put a timer to this and see exactly how long it took me. I have no idea. I would have got it done a little faster if we didn't have that weird thing that happened with the throttle trigger, but things happen. We were able to diagnose what was wrong with it pretty quick and fixed it. So that's pretty awesome too. So thank you again for tuning in to Chicanic. If you haven't found us on Facebook yet, please find us at facebook.com/Chicanic. Thanks and have a great day.